Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 917. This is Rollin Frost, Kona astrologer on the big island of Hawaii. Lucky we live here. We're going to go through 4th of July for you, and both weekends on either side, so you can plan some things. Day by day in the sky mirror, here it comes. I drew up a chart for you, and well, there's that big old Grand Cross. Look at that. So you've gotten used to this, this tension, the violence, the territorial, the road rage, the feeling of aloneness already. And sad to say, the bad news is the sun is joining in on that. Yeah, it's going from 6 to 15 degrees of Cancer. So it's running the Grand Cross. And boy, that means there's going to be action. The good news is Mercury went direct July 1st, Tuesday, 2:51 a.m. You won't have to keep going places twice. The other thing about this is there's a new moon. If you're on a Thursday night show, it's happening to you right now. Yeah, it's a new moon at 6 degrees of Cancer. It's very nice because it trines Neptune. And if you're in the Neptune business, oil, drugs, chemicals, art, music, religion, this is going to be a good month. However, that new moon happens here at 6 degrees. It's in Cancer, and that cardinal sign is the tip-off, The Grand Cross. So it's starting for you right away. If you're on the Thursday show, the moon's already in Cancer, and Thursday night, that new moon. Now, maybe you'll be lucky and you'll just catch the trine to Neptune. What? I didn't draw that in. Oops. There we are. Neptune, the priest artist, you know, there's Jesus, One of my favorite masters. And it trines 120 degrees down to this new moon. So you could get in trouble with that and say, oh, I'm going to war, get out the weapons and go shoot them up. But if you listen, what would Jesus do? And you'll be in that trine to Neptune, you let it go. There'll be music. There'll be butterflies. There'll be colors. You'll be more telepathic. Your compassion will develop more. In the midst of all this fighting, rampaging, Ram is Mars, And there's Mars. He's under siege. All the young men. Whew, terrible. Not only the Sergeant so-and-so from the prisoner exchange, but also young guys in school. And the psychologists, the scientists aren't helping. And they can't, there's no power and control, no territory. And so this is a road rage ready to go at any time. Let's look at the times and give you an upload on what might be coming up. Now, this isn't your chart. This is the generic chart. So if you're on a Thursday night show on the new moon, the moon's in Cancer, very domestic. Now, if you're with somebody here, you know, you want to go for Neptune, a glass of wine, some music, you know, colored things, nice, sensitive. You know, if you're with somebody and you start fighting, bail out of that, because these vibes could go on for a month. Yeah. So the Neptune thing is real late Thursday night, early Friday morning. And the violence doesn't really kick in until we get to 12 degrees. Here's the opposition to Pluto. Now that is about noontime Friday. And then in the evening and afternoon, mostly this is late evening, you see the Uranus thing at 16 degrees, Mars at 17. You know, here's the fire, here's the fight. Here's the violence, here's the anger. Ask yourself what you're protecting. This is not a Friday night to go out like it's normal. This is not a normal Friday night, folks. No. So Saturday, the moon's still in Cancer on June 28th. And it gets better as the day goes on because the moon comes up on a trine to Saturn and a conjunction to Jupiter in the afternoon and evening. And things settle down. There's more traditional thought, good sense, and even a feeling of wow, now I understand could happen here late Saturday night. I'm sure Friday gave you something to think about, so process it. Sunday, June 29th, the moon's in Leo here, and it vibes change a lot. Here in the afternoon, there's a nice sextile to Venus, and there's some love and some sweets around. It's kind of fun. Try to relax a little bit. Continues through Sunday into Monday morning. Monday morning, on the 30th here, is a nice trine to Uranus, and there's some brotherhood, and a sextile to Mars. And why should we fight with our brothers? Well, in the middle of it all, there's a square to Saturn. It's all about money, isn't it? Survival, laws, lines and signs. In the U.S. especially, we're inundated with lines and signs on the road whenever you go outside. Well, you're not going to like the restrictions, but brothers will save everybody here if you let them be real heroes. Monday night late, these lines are actually in Hawaii are 2 a.m. in the morning. They're midnight on the west coast. So here is a nice trine to Mercury. And Mercury's just stopped, so, he's pretty happy. And he goes direct early in the morning here, and the moon sextiles him. So your thoughts could be wonderfully clear Tuesday morning. Listen to the kids. Listen to the messengers. Good negotiations happen. If you have a really brilliant thought, write it down. Yeah. Good vibes continue through the middle of Tuesday, and the moon shifts into Virgo. And once that happens, confusion starts. Because there's an opposition to Neptune late Tuesday night, and a square to Venus, and there's no rest, and there's no pleasure and fun, and the sweets are gone, and it's confusing. Very confusing. Not a good time for love, girls. No. Now this is actually 2:33 in the morning, maybe Hawaii time. Just after midnight on the west coast. Now as you get into Wednesday, you'll get some direction here. In the middle, between breakfast and lunch, there's a sextile to the sun, and getting a plan together, huh? Yeah, good for you. There's a trine to Pluto. Discovery happens in the middle of Wednesday, and in the evening there's a sextile to Saturn. We get organized. Kind of nice, not bad at all. Vibes continue through Thursday. There's good sense someplace. So I kind of like Moon in Virgo here, Wednesday and Thursday, the 2nd and the 3rd. There's a lot of good sense, a lot of common sense here when you got Jupiter and Saturn kind of in harmony. When you get to the 4th, here we are on the 4th of July. It's going to be a close call. The moon goes into Libra here about 10 o'clock Thursday night, July 3rd, and you start to feel very different vibes, and everybody's looking at everybody else. Yeah. And the shit kind of hits the fan here. Friday night, with the square to Pluto. Here's police problems and issues of property and territory and power and control. It's snuck in there here about 1 or 2 a.m. There is a trine to Venus. There's a little pleasure in there someplace, but it's going to be kind of hard to find. Really early Saturday morning, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, there's a square to the sun. None of our plans are working out. The Mars conjunction shows up here between breakfast and lunch towards the middle of the day. The moon goes by. Mars, energize. Are you pissed off or are you getting the work done? You a good warrior or are you a bad warrior? Well, it's tough. There's an opposition to Uranus about the same time. and so there's no brotherhood, and the mentality is off, and this is not a very, it really kind of continues from Friday night. I mean, this is 4th of July. They all go out and do fireworks and stuff, yeah? And so here could be some violence, some fires, some difficulty. It could go off a little bit here. This could be a fiery 4th. Yeah. Calms down really late Saturday with the trine to Mercury, and we start talking and we get information, and here early Sunday morning, about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, the moon goes by the north node, and we all feel like we're appreciated. There is, however, a square to Jupiter. We're overdoing it here still Sunday morning. Maybe it's a good time to sleep in late and not overeat at breakfast. Moon goes into Scorpio in the middle of the day Sunday. The vibes change a lot again. Sunday night, here's a trine to Neptune. So here's a time for religion, art, music. It's Sunday night, yeah, the 6th of July in this crazy year, 2014. I'm going to go investigate hurricanes for the rest of the show. Come on along. Okay, a brief review. How do you tell when Uranus, who is the guy who governs and creates, so to speak, represents hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and sudden winds, chaotic winds? How do you tell when Uranus is acting up? And this applies to any planet in your natal chart or in any endeavor you're doing. When you look at the chart, you ask yourself, is there any planet that's stationing? Stationing means it slows down, stops, reverses direction. When it stops, oh boy, is it strong. So that empowers the planet. Okay, the other thing that empowers the planet is the full moons or the new moons. You get a lunation on the planet. We have one on Uranus later on, we'll show you. Or a new moon, especially opposing the planet or squaring it. That's another accent. And that will, and the planet will be empowered and will be acting things out more strongly on the stage of life. All right, let's put a little light on this subject. So we did our homework already, and we've got 3 periods through the rest of 2014, and we even picked out the days. And so all of these days that you see circled here, plus or minus 2-3 days, okay? And here we have, because of the station of Uranus on the 22nd, we have July 26th, plus or minus a few days, and August 2nd that we want to look at. In August, or in October, there's another matter. This is a full moon opposing Uranus. It's a different kind of a thing. Once the full moon happens, it kind of has like almost a month to raise hell and then fades off. And this one is interesting because it activates a grand trine from Uranus to Mars and Jupiter, and the full moon's on Uranus, and so there could be some really good things happening here. Yes, with the environmentalists and independents and stuff, and we're particularly interested in the October 25th date, plus or minus a few days. And finally, there's a third time that's at the end of the year, right smack in your holidays. And this is a station. Basically, stations, you got about 20 days on either side, and there's a normal distribution curve kind of goes up and comes down, 20 days on either side of the station. You get this influence. It fades off after 20 days on either side. So anyway, this station is really active at several times, and one happens to be the square to Uranus. Hopefully this is a bunch of storms, because Mercury is squaring Uranus on the day before Christmas. And it's Christmas Eve, December 24th, so we got that circled. There's a full moon, January 5th, that squares Uranus, and after he's stationed already on the 21st. So we've got several dates here, and December 6th is one full moon, and January 5th is another full moon. So we've got 3 periods to investigate. We've got the station in July and the 1st of August. We've got the full moon opposing Uranus, or conjuncting Uranus, excuse me, in October. And we've got the station of Uranus in December. And what we want to do now, we know these guys are going to get up and act out on the stage of the world. We don't know where. That's the job we're going to do today. We're going to try to find out where. Let's take the first one right off. Here's July 22nd, huh? And let's look at some astrocartography. All right, we have these 2 target dates, July 26th and August 2nd. So I'm going to start with the full moon on July 12th, which is pretty energizing. First, just a look at the chart, and boy, you can't miss that Grand Cross, huh? Whew, there she is. It's a full moon, so the sun is opposing the moon, see? At 20 degrees, but in this case it's squaring Mars. Yeah, and the nodes too by 4 degrees. And over here is Uranus at 16.5, so we've got Uranus and all these guys lined up. Pluto is here too at 12, but the moon has an orb of 10, 12 degrees at least. Here we're only 8 degrees off, so I consider this a full moon on Pluto. It's going to be a little panicky. Maybe these are volcanoes someplace. But the Mars, you know, it squares Uranus pretty tight here. So Uranus is everybody's worried about fighting Uranus somehow here. And let's take a look at the map. Now the simplest way is to find out where Uranus hits the 4 angles of the chart. And one that's very sensitive is the midheaven, and that's what we have here. This is Uranus on the MC, the midheaven. It's a Latin term, medium Kauai or something. Here's the south node. Oh, we need help. That's not so good. So where is this going? This is running down through the hurricane belt, sure enough. Here's Pluto crossing it over here. This could be difficult. Here's the full moon too, but you know, this is the zone of, now this also goes up through the US. Yeah, we could have one of these tornadoes come and whack. Well, New Orleans was the special one. Okay, let's get a little better scale here. Here's Uranus on the midheaven, public chaos, public winds, and power outages and things. And it's running down through Gulp. There we are. It's in the New Orleans area, isn't it? Well, this is lousy news for you folks who live down there. The thing runs down from New Orleans and goes through, you know, the tip of, here's Cancun over here, down through Guatemala. So any place along this line, we're going to see hurricane stuff happening, you know, after the full moon of July 12th. Now I've learned to watch the 1/4 and 3/4 moons too. So here's a July 18th 3/4 moon. Now, I set all these charts for Kona, because kind of get to look out for all of Hawaii. And you can see there's a lot of tension here. Here's the moon sun square at 26 degrees. It's near the nodes. It's squaring old Mars over here and activating a lot of overprotection maybe. Mercury is opposing Pluto, difficulty with wind, perhaps. So Uranus has a quincux here, they call it 150-degree angle, a seesaw to Saturn. So if it gets cold, there won't be any twirlies. But if there's twirlies, it won't be cold and you won't be organized. And so this pattern Uranus disrupting Saturn is a little bit scary for me. I can see that your regular life might be disrupted sometime after July 18th. And here's Uranus on the midheaven, runs down through the revolutionary area of the world. Maybe some of that. We look over here, Hawaii Ne is clear of things, and so is the U.S., except here's Mars. This could be fires, and it's running up through this Oregon, Washington, up into there. There's the moon's on the south node. We need help. Uranus is the dotted line that runs up through here. Take a closer look. Here's the dotted line, is the Uranus line out here. And it's kind of far off the coastline. But man, that Mars moon thing is right down through here, running right along the coast. So there could be some action there with fires. Okay, next is the July 26th new moon. And remember, our target date was July 22nd, or July 26th, because of this new moon in August 2nd. And when you look at the chart itself, again in Hawaii, the Uranus is down here in a quiet 6th house, and doesn't appear to give either angle trouble. We haven't got anything really bearing down on us in this chart in the islands. Spoke too soon, because here's the new moon at 3 degrees of Leo, 15 minutes. And there's Jupiter at 2 degrees, 20 minutes, with less than 1 degree separation. We had a new moon on Jupiter. And here in Kona, the midheaven's at 6. And the rule is if it's within 5 degrees of an angle, put it in the angular house. Add 5 to Jupiter, you get 720. It's up here at the very top of the chart. Here's your world map. And you can see that Hawaii here, so small. But boy, these guys are pretty much right in our face. And they the lines tend to go more up on the Kauai side of the chain. Let's investigate. Well, here's the way it looks over near Poipu Beach. My son Matt lives over near there. And boy, the new moon is pretty much right on the midheaven. Jupiter's less than 1 degree off. Jupiter makes lightning and thunder and rain, huh? And it looks like quite a public display will happen up there on Kauai. And Mars is here on the rising sign, so all of this somehow gets the protectors out, gets the emergency people are out, and people are being protective because of all of this rain. There's probably going to be some flooding now. This could indicate a passing hurricane off someplace that doesn't give you a lot of wind, but a lot of stormy water and stuff. How about Honolulu? Okay, here's the way it looks in Honolulu. And we're off a little bit. It moved away, puts Jupiter 2 degrees 26 minutes into the quiet side off the midheaven. So it's not quite as exact there, but this is still plenty close, folks. You know, even you folks in Maui might feel some of this, and on the Big Island too. These are, 6 degrees here, 2-3 degrees. Wow. I guess the Mars thing might be a good indicator. At least here in Honolulu, Mars is not as activated. It's a little bit off the rising sign into the 12th house. So maybe the emergency people aren't as serious on Oahu as they are on Kauai. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Places to watch worldwide. Here is Uranus on the midheaven, and it's moving down through here. And over here is Uranus on the descendant, the other angle. It gives you a lot of irritation and things. And everybody's afraid of hurricanes and earthquakes, and it runs down right through, what was that, St. Church, New Zealand? And this could be quakes. Sure disturbs the peace. The Venus up on top, Pluto at the bottom, worried about the home, see? Pluto at the bottom could indicate quakey stuff instead of the hurricane stuff. Well, I see I'm already getting short on time. So we pretty much covered this first area here of the Uranus station. And the closer you are to the 22nd of July, the more Uranus-like you'll feel. Shaky! Next one, October. We'll have to wait till next week. And this one is a big one. The new moon on October 23rd shows that we're kind of panicky here, and we could have problems with services like lines down and electrical and phone and stuff like this. And so we're going to spend some time on this one next week. And this is a full moon on Uranus. And it really gives Uranus a lot of power because Jupiter is trining it and so is Mars. So there's a lot of energy here. And it'll be hard to stop Uranus if he's the revolutionary force or the environmental movement or the tornado, hurricane kind of stuff. Boy, he's going to be strong. So next week, come back for that analysis. Here's an interesting sideline. A couple viewers called in, wanted to know a little more about this. What the heck was this? Well, it's made out of brass, and it clearly was meant for maybe a ship because of the way you see these in old steamships and stuff. Obviously, there were places on the ship where you could smoke opium and places where you couldn't smoke opium, huh? It actually has a little number, a serial number on it, and here it says the maker was in San Francisco, oops, and that it was made in Taiwan for Gatco of San Francisco.